Do you feel stuck? You're working hard, but you're not getting ahead. In fact, you're working hard, and it seems like you're getting further and further behind. I was there for so long, and I don't know what your job is. Maybe you're a teacher. Maybe you're like I was. You're a trash man. Maybe you're a doctor. You're a lawyer. Maybe you're a blue-collar worker. Maybe you're a white-collar worker. But it feels like the harder you work, the further behind you get. Well, I've got a solution for you, because today you're going to learn why hard work is not the key to success and wealth building. Now, I believe in hard work. I believe in hard work because hard work makes me a better person. But I don't believe that hard work is going to guarantee my success. I do believe that hard work is going to guarantee that I'm going to be exhausted eventually. And so what I need to do is I need to figure out what does equal success. I'm going to read a verse to you in Scripture, and I'm going to share with you from that verse some of the ideas and lessons that I've ascertained from that. And it's in Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse number 10. So, first of all, when you think about the book of Ecclesiastes, understand the purpose of the book of Ecclesiastes. The book of Ecclesiastes was written by King Solomon. The book of Proverbs was written by King Solomon. The book of Ecclesiastes, the Proverbs of Solomon were written early in his life while he was still yielded to God. Then he went through this season where he married all these pagan, heathen women. He let them turn their hearts away from God, turn his heart away from God, and then after that, he let them turn his heart away from God. Then he came back to his senses, and he repented at the end of his life, and he wrote this book called Ecclesiastes. This book of Ecclesiastes is written by a guy who loved God, backslid, came back to God, and now has a new perspective on life. And so the theme of the book of Ecclesiastes is this: if you live your life for life under the sun, you've wasted your life and tortured yourself. That's the theme of the book of Ecclesiastes. That's why it says over and over, this also is vanity, empty, it's waste, and vexation of spirit, torment, torture. So if you live your life only for the things that happen under heaven, under the sun, you've wasted your life and tortured yourself. That's the theme of the book of Ecclesiastes, and it ends with, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So that's the conclusion that Solomon came to at the end of his life. So Solomon was the wise man. He was the wise child. Then he became the wise fool. Then he became the wise old man from experiences that he could have avoided. Okay, so here's what he said. In Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 10, it says, if the iron be blunt, and when it says iron there, that word iron is talking about an axe. But we could just call it a tool. If the iron be blunt, and he do not whet the edge. Whet means to sharpen the edge, okay? And he do not whet the edge, then must he put more strength. But wisdom is profitable to direct. What does that mean? It means if a person is chopping down a tree, they're chopping down a tree with an axe. If they don't sharpen the axe, they're going to have to put more strength into chopping down the tree with a dull axe. It's harder. You're going to work harder chopping down a tree with a dull axe than you are chopping down a tree with a sharp axe. So what he's saying is, don't work harder for hard work's sake. Sharpen the axe. And then it says wisdom is profitable to direct. So there are some things that we can do to sharpen the axes, the tools that we have in our toolbox. You've heard me teach this before, like mindset times skill set times tool set equals assets, and income follows assets, right? So mindset, we want to sharpen our mindset tools. We want to sharpen our skill set tools. We want to sharpen our tool set tools. So what does it mean to sharpen my mindset tools? It means that I have to learn how to think better. It's really fascinating, and I know I do it a lot, but I'm going to do it again anyway. It's fascinating to me that in Genesis chapter 1, God gave us so many success principles. And one of the success principles that I found in Genesis chapter 1 is what I call the 4 levels of value, right? So the 4 levels of value are, the lowest level of value is implementation. Implementation, we use our muscles. The resources we use is we use our muscles over time to create money. Well, when we're talking about building wealth, wealth is a spiritual outcome. Money, the essence of money is not materialistic at all. The essence of money is spiritual. The essence of wealth is spiritual. It's spiritual because you have to do something for somebody other than yourself. You have to be consumed with someone other than yourself in order to create it. It's spiritual because of the message that it carries. A $100 bill is worth more than a penny because a $100 bill says $100. A penny says 1 cent, which means 1% of $1. So therefore, it's spiritual because of the message it carries, and language is something that only spiritual beings have. Monkeys can't count money. Dogs don't have money. Eagles don't have money. Lions don't have money. Why? Because they're not spiritual beings. They are bahema, and it is what it is. We are Adams. What is an Adam? An Adam is Aleph, Daled, Mem. Daled, Mem is blood. Aleph is God. We are a God-like creation with flesh and blood. The life of the flesh is in the blood. So if I'm using my muscles are a physical resource, and I'm using them over time. Time is a limited resource. I'm multiplying a limited resource a physical resource times a limited resource, and I'm attempting to produce an unlimited result. It can't happen. You don't have the right ingredients. It's like putting pickles and ketchup and mustard and eggs and peanut butter in a bowl and stirring it up and putting it in the oven and hoping to get chocolate cake. It can't happen. The ingredients are wrong. Okay, so if I am operating down here and I'm working really hard down here, I'm going to make somewhere between minimum wage to $80,000 a year. How did I come up with that? So I'm going to make minimum wage. Mariah, can I get another pen? Because I press too hard. It's me, it's not you. Okay, so I get excited and I talk loud and I talk fast and I start pressing this, and it's just grinding down my tips on my markers. Thank you. So minimum wage and $80,000 a year. How do I come up with those numbers? Well, minimum wage, the government's going to guarantee that you get so much, right? And people are fighting. I love what Jim Rohn said. People are fighting for a higher minimum wage. Why do you plan on staying there that long? Like, why don't you fight to earn more than minimum wage? Anyway, just a thought. Okay, so minimum wage. If you're making tacos at Taco Bell, you're going to make minimum wage, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. $8 an hour, $10 an hour, $12, $15, whatever it is. Minimum wage. $80,000 a year. If you work on high-end cars, you might make $80K a year. Okay, but there's a cap. It doesn't matter how much harder you work on this level, there is a limit to the amount of money you will be able to make. Hard work does not equal wealth. Okay, so what's the next level? The next level is unification. What's unification? We use our management skills on this level to create wealth. Management skills. In other words, we're no longer the person who does the thing, we're the person who manages the people who do the thing. And so that's how we make our money. On this level, we're going to make somewhere between, on the low end, $40K a year for managing Taco Bell, up to, what, $250K a year if we're a mid-level manager at Lockheed Martin. So this is better income-wise, but the one problem with that is if a company's paying you to be a manager, especially at that level, they want you to know they own you, right? They own you. They don't just want you to know they own you. They want you to know they know it, right? We own you. We ain't paying you this much money so you can go to your kid's soccer game, right? Okay, so wealth doesn't matter how hard you work down here. Working harder is not going to make you wealthy. Now, you can live down here your whole life and still be wealthy because wealth that you create is going to be determined by what you do with the money that you make, not how much money you make. Okay? So, but you're not going to create wealth by working harder down here. Wealth doesn't start to be created until we get above the line. So, what's this level? This level is communication. And on this level, we use our mouth to create money. I mean, we could also write, but we're going to just communication, okay? So, on the low end, you're going to make $100,000 a year, and on the high end, you could make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Hundreds of millions. You sell cars, you can make $100,000 a year selling cars. You make $100,000 a year selling insurance. You make $100,000 a year selling real estate. You can make more than that, but if you're an A-list actor, an A-list singer, or you're a songwriter like Dolly Parton, you can make $100 million a year. Huh. Communication. Here's what's interesting. While I was growing up and everybody was telling me that children are to be seen and not heard, and they were telling me sit still and be quiet, nobody told me that the key to fortune is in communication. This book right here, I wrote this book. It's called B.O.S.S Moves. And boss is not me bossing you around. It's certainly not you bossing me around, so let's don't get it twisted. Okay, so it's called B.O.S.S Moves. B.O.S.S is an acronym that stands for Business Optimization Success Secrets, or if you're referring to a person that's a boss, Business Optimization Success Strategist. That's a person who's a boss, right? So we show people how to optimize their businesses. Optimize, oh, that's like sharpening the axe. Are you seeing the connection? Well, up here, you use your mouth, okay? Now, the highest level of value is imagination. And on this level, we use our mind and our money to make money. Now, here's what's cool. This is the highest level of value. Up here, you're going to make on the low end, you're going to make $1 million a year. On the high end, it could be billions or more. One of the things I found out, I worked way harder when I was down here. I was never here. Okay, that was not me. I was down here. I was the person they were telling what to do. It didn't matter how hard I worked, the amount of money I made was always going to be limited at the lower levels of value. How many of y'all track it? And so what we got to do is we want to get to the place in our lives where we say, like, I don't need to work harder to make more money. If I want to create wealth, I don't need to work harder, I need to work higher. Work at a higher level. It's not about delivering more value at the lower levels. It's about delivering a higher value. Are y'all tracking with me? It's about delivering a higher value for other people at a higher level. So when I focus on working higher, I wrote a book. This book makes me hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars a day. I wrote the book one time. So did I work hard? It took me 1.5 years to write this. Like, I wanted to make sure when it came out, it had the show enough in it, right? So it took me 1.5 years to write this book. But once I got it done, I don't do any work on it at all anymore. I don't do anything. I created an asset that income can follow. So what did I do? I thought about the concepts. I wrote the concepts in the book. Now the book makes me between, I don't know, $15,000 and $30,000 a month. Just that one asset. Now, I'm not saying that so you can think, oh, Myron's so cool, he makes it. It has nothing to do with it. I'm just showing you where the wealth is. And it's not at working harder at what's not working. It's in sharpening the axe, sharpening the mindset axe, so you can have a perspective that you didn't have before. Most people can't seize wealth, S-I-E-Z-E, because they can't see wealth, S-E-E. You can't see where it's at with your eyes, so you can't seize it with your hands. How many of y'all tracking? Wave at me, my peeps. And so what we got to do is we got to get to the place in our lives where we can see the wealth, so we can seize the wealth. By the way, when I say see the wealth, and I say we need to sharpen the axe in our mind, we don't see with our eyes, we see with our mind. Our eyes are just one of the instruments our mind uses to see. And how many of you have ever, your parents said, hey, bring me that salt out of the cupboard. And you go, I don't see it. And then they go grab it. It's right in front of your face. If it was a snake, it'd bit you, right? Okay, that's the kind of stuff my parents would say. Okay, well, I'm glad it was salted. It wasn't a snake, right? Okay, but you couldn't see it. Why? Because you couldn't see it because your mind wouldn't let you see it. And so what we have to do is we have to clear up our minds. We have to sharpen the axe in our minds. So here, what's the principle in this? What's the principle in this Ecclesiastes verse? Here's the principle. There are two ways to increase effectiveness. There are two ways. So if I want to increase, oops, way too fat. I'm going to make this marker not quite so thick. Okay, so if I'm going to increase effectiveness, I want to make my effectiveness greater. There are two ways to do that. Way number one is I can increase effort. This is what most people do. They bought into the idea, I'm going to increase my effectiveness by increasing my effort. It keeps going back to that. All right, don't you do that again now. Okay, increase effectiveness by increasing effort. So I'm going to work harder. Hey, let me ask you a question. Does it make sense to work harder on what's not working to get ahead? That doesn't make sense. It's like It's like if you're in a boat and you're like you got a bucket and the boat's sinking and you're taking the bucket and the water's coming in faster than the water's going out, you're basically wasting your time regardless of how hard you work, right? So you can increase your effectiveness, and in the case we're talking about right now, we're talking about wealth, we're talking about the effectiveness of our money. We increase the effectiveness by working harder, which is what I learned how to do when I was growing up. I'm so thankful that my parents taught my brothers and I how to work hard. Like, we were raking the yard when the yard was dirt, and we were making sure the lines were straight. I'm serious. Like, we were. I remember one time I asked my mom, "Mom, can we get a dishwasher?" She said, "Get a dishwasher? I got 7 dishwashers. What, 7 dishwashers? You and your 6 brothers. A dishwasher? What you talking about? What?" Right? And so I'm glad my parents taught us to work hard. And they taught it because working hard made me better. Here's what happens. If you don't work hard, when you find something that works well, you won't work hard at that either, and it will be less effective than it could be. So you want to apply hard work to something that works well. Are you tracking? So that's one way to increase effectiveness, but a better way to increase effectiveness is to increase efficiency. I increase my effectiveness by increasing my efficiency. In other words, I make sure that each measure of input that I put into a thing produces a greater output. How do I do that? By sharpening the axe. Do you realize all of us can sharpen our mental axes? How do we sharpen our mental axes? By reading books. You ain't gonna sharpen your mental axe by watching Netflix. You're not gonna sharpen your mental axe by listening to music. Generally speaking. You're not gonna sharpen your mental axe by going to the club. You're gonna sharpen your mental axe by reading books that teach concepts that are useful for you that you don't currently know. You're gonna sharpen your mental axe by surrounding yourself with people who are thinking at a higher level. And when you do those things, what happens is you get exposed to ideas. I think about Joel. I remember Joel Bauer. He's one of my business coaches, and I remember when I first heard of him, it was probably back in 2009, maybe 2008. And I was talking to James Malinchak, and James Malinchak said, "Yeah, Joel Bauer trains everybody. Joel Bauer's trained. He's trained Tony Robbins. He's trained Jordan Belfort. He's trained Kevin Trudeau. He's trained Robert Allen, Mark Victor Hansen." Like, he starts naming all these people. I'm like, how come I never heard of this guy if he trained all those people, right? I mean, I'm fairly in the know, so I start looking him up. And sure enough, he's trained all these people. So I said, okay. I got all excited. So I started searching him out. I found he had a course online. It was $2,200. I'm like, I'm getting this. And like, I don't know what kind of buyer you are. I'm hyper. When I'm ready to buy, and I'm ready to experience what I bought right now, right? And so I bought Joel's course, and I think it was called the Persuasion Masterclass. Big, thick manual, whole bunch of DVDs, whole bunch of CDs, and I'm like, yes, let's go. And so, and his book, How to Persuade People Who Don't Want to Be Persuaded, and I'm going through all of this stuff, right? And I'm watching the videos, and when I was watching the videos, I thought, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be. Oh, and I paid $65 to get it overnight delivered, because I wanted it the next day. I wanted it that day, but they didn't have same-day delivery, and I ordered it at night. So, okay, I can wait until tomorrow, but I can't wait any longer, right? So, and I was like, this wasn't that good. And what's interesting is, I went through the entire course, and it was good. It was good, but the video part wasn't great. But I realize now why it wasn't great, because he did it in a studio in front of a camera, and there was nobody in the room. So, because I'm not putting Joel on blast, I'm gonna bring this thing home here in a minute. So, in 2021, Joel, I think it was 2021, it might have been 2020, 2021, Joel and Peng Jun's a friend of mine from Russell's Inner Circle, they were doing an event in Los Angeles. It was a free training for people who were speakers. I'm thinking, why would they do a free training for speakers? I was so confused by that whole thing. It didn't make sense to me, but I said, I'm going to fly to California and go to this event just to see what they're doing. I wasn't going to buy anything. I already had Peng Jun's course. I already had one of Joel's courses. I wasn't going to buy anything. I just went because I wanted to see what they were doing. And when I watched Joel Bauer present in person, I was blown away. I was like, what am I watching? It was like watching Picasso paint. Did Picasso paint, or was he a musician? Okay, I was like, I hope I didn't just make a musician do a painting. Okay, so it was like watching Mozart compose, right? It was beautiful. And so he was making us, I was at the table before he got, when he got ready, I could see he was winding down for the offer. I don't care what he's selling. I don't care how much it costs. As long as it's less than $150,000, I'm buying it. I'd already decided that. And I got up to the table, and I'm pretty sure it was only like $7,000. I'm like, oh, I'm all in. Now, why did I tell you that story? I tell you that story because the reason I feel like I'm fairly good at speaking. I'm not the best in the world, but I'm good. I feel like I'm really good at teaching. And when it comes to selling, I feel like I'm pretty much one of the best in the world, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying I'm like one of the best in the world. But I said, this is a guy who can help me sharpen my axe. And so one of the things that we have to understand is regardless of what level of effectiveness you are operating on, there's always a way and a place and an environment in which we can make ourselves more effective by increasing our efficiency. Now, here's what happens when you increase efficiency. Well, here's what happens when you increase effort without increasing efficiency. You become more tired and less effective over time. Are y'all tracking? This is why hard work is not the key to wealth. Because the harder you work at what's not working, the less effective you are, and the more exhausted you feel over time. And so, if you spend, with a sharp axe, you can chop down a tree, let's say, in 10 minutes. But with a dull axe, it takes 4 hours. You're way more tired, way more sore, takes way more time to recuperate, and the amount of time you will be able to continue to operate like that gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. That's why people, as we get older, working hard at jobs that are not producing the wealth that can help us sustain our family or catapult our family into another financial category of peace and prosperity, if you will, it makes us feel hopeless as we get older. Because the axe is not sharp, and it's like I've been working at this for a very long time. I should be farther ahead. I should be further ahead than I am right now. I've been working at this. I've been working hard at this for a very long time. I can't believe I'm not further ahead. I've really been really doing everything in my power to make this work. I can't believe I'm not further ahead. Well, the reason that happens is because we're increasing effort without increasing efficiency. You realize every book. Back to the Joel Bauer story. Remember I said I bought the course and it wasn't that good? I thought it wasn't that good, right? But even though I thought it wasn't that good, I got one idea from that course that the next month, like literally the month after I bought that course, that one idea from that course made me $27,000 a month later from one idea I got from that course that, in my opinion, the course wasn't that great. Now, when I bought his masterclass, the $7,000 masterclass, that was phenomenal. That was on another level. So you say, Myron, and I'm not promoting Joel Bauer. I'm just saying, when we put ourselves in an environment that sharpens our axe, our skill, our mindset axe, our skill set axe, what does that look like? One of the best ways to sharpen your skill set axe is to learn a new principle from the mindset. You go apply it in the marketplace, see how it works, get the feedback, and then you go back and do it again. I have learned more in the last year. Like I've read Darrell Eves' The YouTube Formula. I've read Sean Cannell's YouTube Secrets. I've read, I don't even know how many books I've read on marketing and sales, some more than I can count. but I've learned more about producing YouTube videos and growing your audience on YouTube by doing YouTube than I have from all those other things. But it was the other things that I took the stuff, I went and applied it, and then I learned the lessons from the application of the things I learned. That's sharpening the axe. Sharpen your axe, your skill set axe, your mindset axe, your tool set axe. What does sharpening your tool set axe look like? It looks like growing into technology as technology advances. So I grow into technology and I use technology. As technology advances, I don't hide from it. I don't run from it. I'm not afraid of it. I use it. I don't believe all technology is good. So for instance, me, I don't really want Siri. She interrupts me while I'm doing Bible study a lot. I don't want Google Home. I don't want Amazon Alexa. I don't have any desire whatsoever for that level of intrusion from a company that I don't know what their full motives are, right? But I know they exist. Somebody said, if you are using a product, if you are getting some kind of service from a company and you don't know what the product is, you are the product. Right? So Facebook, how can Facebook be free? How can you go in and create groups and reach people and communicate with people all over the world and it's free? It's free because you are the product. They're giving you access to the world, but they're gathering your data and then selling it to people who are willing to pay for that data. Right? So if you're using a service for free and you don't know what the product is, it's because you are the product. They're not doing that. They're not doing you a solid because they like you. I'm going to do you a solid. Right? I know the reason YouTube pays me is because I help them get what they want. What do they want? They want people to click on videos, watch the videos, and stay on the platform for a long time. So if you are a person who can get people to click on videos, watch videos, and stay on the platform for a long time, then you are a person that YouTube will put your videos in front of their audience, and then they will pay you when those people watch it. You know what's crazy? To me, this is crazy, but this is signs of the times that we live in. YouTube pays me more money per month for creating YouTube videos than I've ever made in any job in a year. In any job I've ever had in a year. Why? Because I sharpened my axe. I spent literally thousands of hours practicing and becoming the person who can communicate. Hundreds and hundreds of hours, teaching kids on a Sunday school bus. You're not getting paid for it. Nobody said, "Oh, what a great bus captain, yay!" None of that. Do the work and let the work turn you into the person who can do the thing. And as you're going, keep sharpening your axe. I promise you, what'll happen for you? If you will, here's what's cool about using the tool set axe. For instance, so I'm going to put myself on Front Street so y'all can know who you're dealing with. I'm a pretty smart dude. Y'all are smart too, so don't get excited. But if I had to pass a 9th grade grammar test to save my grandmother's life, I don't think she'd make it. Right? I'm just I can't pass. If I had to pass a 9th grade algebra test, probably ain't happening. But guess what? I know how to use technology, I know how to use automation, and I know how to use delegation to achieve things efficiently and effectively with the help of technology and people that I could not do by myself. Here's the thing, though. If you're going to sharpen the axe so you can create more wealth, number one, it takes time to sharpen the axe. That's the bad news. The good news is it takes less time to sharpen the axe than it does to chop down the tree with a dull axe. That's the good news. So, I know you think you don't have time to get better. But if you don't have time to get better today, you're going to have a lot of time in the future because you will be out of business. That's real talk, my peeps. And so let's focus on this aspect and not just focus on that aspect, because this makes this produce more of this. Whereas if you focus on this, all it does is wears you out without sharpening the axe. So let's decide today that we're going to spend the rest of our lives becoming better so we can become the best possible version of ourselves that we can be when we show up in the marketplace to serve people. They're as happy to be served by us and pay us as we are to serve them. I hope this blesses you. If you want to watch another video that'll really take your life to the next level, look at the one on Get Rich Quick. By the way, let me say this. A lot of people, all this guy talks about is money. Well, clearly you don't watch my videos, okay? I do talk about money. And what's really fascinating is people who care about money the most act like they care about it the least. And what I mean by that is you will spend 8, 12, or 16 hours a day working for money, which you say isn't important. Well, I know money's important. It's not the most important thing, but it's an important thing in my life. It's an important thing in your life. You cannot feed your family without it. You can't give to your church without it. You can't support orphans and widows without it. So I think one of the most selfish objectives in the world financially is to only desire to make enough money to be comfortable. I want to make enough money so I can make somebody else comfortable. I want to make enough money so that I can bless somebody else's life without me having to worry about whether or not I'm going to be able to pay my electric bill or put gas in my car. In fact, I don't ever want to worry about money at all, because money is the byproduct of being a person who creates value for other people. And the more value you create for more people, the more money you will have. So, do I teach people how to make money? I do. Do you know why? Because I've been to so many prayer meetings where the prayer requests are all about health and money, and the Bible has answers for both of those. We ignore the answers that God has given us, and then we pray to God to fix the problems we created because we were ignoring what he told us to do in the first place. That's insane. Let's just do what he said. Let's look at the Bible as a whole. Stop lifting verses out of context. I'm going to tell y'all something funny that I saw yesterday. Since y'all are listening and I'm talking, I might as well share something with you. So, these people who get all of their doctrine from their preacher, who also hasn't studied, by the way, oftentimes, okay? They get all of their doctrine from their preacher. They don't study the Bible for themselves. I'm thankful to God that I started reading the Bible and studying the Bible for myself with a Strong's Concordance, looking up words when I was a teenager. So I don't have to go to somebody and ask him what it means. And go to the Spirit of God, ask him what it means, and then look up the words. Anyway, somebody said a comment on one of my videos. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at people. But this is, like, people don't even think about the things they think about. And this guy said, I think it was a guy, he said, something like, there won't be any money in heaven. That's why there won't be any rich people there. I'm like, bro, and I'm thinking to myself, did you even read that comment yourself? Right? I'm sorry. He said, there won't be any money in heaven, therefore there won't be any rich people there. And I said, and usually I just delete stuff like that, but it was so entertaining, I had to respond. I said, really, comma, not even Abraham, question mark? Because Abraham's the first person the Bible tells us was rich, right? In Genesis 13:2. And Abraham was very rich in cattle and silver and gold. So really, not even Abraham? Then I said, you do realize that the logic of your statement is like saying, there will be no cars in heaven, therefore there will be no drivers there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, like, God bless you. Okay. Study the Bible as a complete book. There are no isolated doctrines in Scripture. The best commentary on the Bible is the Bible itself. And riches can't be evil, and the blessing of the Lord it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. Like, how do you reconcile those? You reconcile them by reading them in context and looking up the meaning of the words. The blessing of the Lord it maketh rich. Does God want us to be lazy? No, he doesn't want us to be lazy. Does God want us to be diligent? Yes. Does God want us to be wise? Yes. Does God want us to be a drunkard? No. A glutton? No. Oh, here's what it says. The drunkard and the glutton shall lie down together, and drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. Well, if poverty is so noble, why is God punishing people for being drunken, lazy gluttons with poverty? Are y'all tracking? If being rich is so evil, why does God say there's treasure and substance in the dwelling place of the wise? It's in the Bible. You have to read the Bible in its context, and whatever the Bible is saying about money, it's not saying something that contradicts something else it said. It's a complete work. So anyway, I hope this blesses you. Sharpen your axe. Sharpen your mental axe. Sharpen your emotional axe. Sharpen your skill set axe. Sharpen your tool set axe. Get better at the things you are doing and make your effort more efficient, and that way you will also make it more effective. Stay blessed by the best. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out, Cub Scouts.